Alright, so I'm Joseph, Joestar316. This is my submission for Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, on the Boss Extreme, commonly referred to as TBE, on New Game Plus, which means I can use items and accessories that I've acquired from other playthroughs, such as key items like the solar gun and the Big Boss mask, although I prefer not to use the mask for certain purposes for just trying to get the rank. But I will be starting from this file, which is set at the very beginning when you gain control of Snake, which has a timestamp of 2:34, which in the community is agreed upon to start a file from such a time, just so that you don't have to sit through 2.5 minutes of commercials when you normally start the game. So timer starts when I load the file and hit start, which is right now. Alright, so we're going through the prologue section of Act 1, so even though it's New Game Plus, you don't have any of your items or accessories from, you know, your previous completion. You have to meet up with Otacon's Metal Gear 2 little droid unit that has all your gear. Alright, so we're gonna run past these geckos, because even though you get spotted by them, the alert does not count. You need to actually have the alert on the screen for it to count. So it's faster just to run past them. Battle Axe, the Big Boss mask, it makes it so that when an enemy sees you within a certain like proximity range, it makes them panic and then faint. Which the Big Boss mask is very handy for running at any percent, which basically means it's a run that doesn't go for the Big Boss rank. You're just purely going for like the fastest possible time. And the Big Boss mask is very helpful in that endeavor. However, since I am trying to go for a Big Boss rank, if possible, I prefer not to use the mask, since the mask kind of puts you in situations of getting caught. However, with the 90% routing, getting the alerts in certain places is not that big of a deal, since the Big Boss mask itself is actually, you know, it assists you in certain areas. Alright, so now what we're going to do is going to this side room and then shoot this wall, hopefully creating a trigger, which we did. So they focus on that wall while we're in caution. And because it's in caution, we skip this cutscene of this APC pulling up. And ever so carefully, we'll right to here, shoot this barrel, and then stick this guard up. And because he's kneeling in caution like that, he just goes right to the floor without really getting, you know, in your way. Just run right to the exit. And just like that, you're out of the first part of Red Zone. This is Red Zone 2. So we're going to execute a very precise roll right there. Then we're going to shoot the back of this box. Causes this guy to turn, again putting in caution temporarily. Which basically lures him in so you can stun knife him for an instant knockout. And then once you hear that footsteps trigger, you just hit the dirt, so it gives you more camo index. And then as these guys get up, you get up with them, and ever so slightly tip up to them, and then just stun knife this guard. You know, I stay crouched just for safety purposes. You know, because standing and running lowers your camo index significantly versus being crouched or prone, as well as the particular camouflage you're using. Which now what we're going to do is use the Middle Eastern disguise, which we've acquired through our previous playthrough, and use the MK2 as our main weapon going forward. So first thing we're going to do is CQC slam this guard, and then stun knife his partner, and then run across, hoping that you don't get shot by PMCs coming in. Which, as a miracle, I didn't get hit. I would want to say that it's rare to come out unscathed, but it's very common during that part to get hit by a stray bullet or two. But to come out unscathed for me is, you know, pretty rare. Alright, so the purpose of using the Middle Eastern disguise when going into this hideout, it makes it so that all the rebels identify you as an ally. You're not an enemy to them, so you don't have to worry about alerts. You don't have to address a single... You don't have to address a single rebel in here. You don't have to knock out anybody. You just run on through like you're part of the crew. You know, I mean, they just, you know, they don't know the difference. You know, but I will say that for rebels that have seen you for the first time, they're really friendly. You know, but they're not so friendly when, you know, they alert to you. You know, somehow Snake going through the hideout with this disguise and kind of puts them at ease. Like you're their best friend that they've always wanted. Alright, so coming up, we're going to meet up with Drebin, the weapons arms dealer, which does a few things. One, it provides Snake with the M4 custom, which is an important weapon to use at, you know, parts of the game. He also injects you with nanomachines, the up-to-date ones, so it allows Snake to actually use the weapon since, you know, weapons in this game are ID locked. You know, thanks to nanomachines. So Drebin just gives him a shot of the up-to-date nanomachine so he can use weapons again. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is equip this with a Master Key shotgun, which is going to be vital for Screaming Mantis later in the game. We're going to use our MGL140, which is normally acquired from beating Raging Raven in Act 3. And last but not least, we're going to use... Uh-oh, I'm going blank. I'm going blank. Hold on. Smokes, stuns. Oh, solar gun. That's it. Alright, yeah, so I revised my menuing, you know, so that it allows for certain things to be used to make one part of the frog segment in Act 1 easier. But in my item rotation, you can see that I kept the MK2. We're now using the MGL140 grenade launcher, as well as a smoke grenade. Alright, so normally you get a trigger here, which puts you in a standstill animation when this rebel comes down in this little mini cutscene, but if you roll and go prone into it, and as the cutscene happens, when you rise up from prone, it allows you to bypass that standstill animation. You know, it just helps optimize it a little bit more. Alright, so just quickly shuffle through that edge there. And now we get into the downtown section of Act 1, which is the area before we meet up with Rat Patrol, which is Meryl's team, which we're gonna be doing an encounter with them later. Alright, so we're gonna throw a smoke right at this corner here, ever so carefully, and then throw another smoke past that corner, which hits another sandbag of a guard on it. And when a guard is hit by a smoke, they're put into a coughing animation for 4 cycles, and by cycles, I mean every time it coughs, it's a cycle that they have to go through. And when they're coughing, they cannot see you, they cannot detect you, they can't fight you. It basically disables them temporarily, and the nice thing about smokes is that they can stack. Meaning if you start them with the smoke, you can throw another one on them to basically keep them at a standstill. So now we use the grenade launcher stun feature to knock those 2 snipers out. We throw a smoke at this corner, and this corner as a safety precaution. You know, so again, you can see the smoke at work, puts them in a disabled state. Next, we're gonna shoot this sniper, and then throw a smoke here, and here. Okay, I'm gonna throw another one, just to be safe. Okay, there is another sniper up there, so I'm just gonna... Alright. So, interesting enough, like, sometimes when you eliminate certain PMCs, whether if it's lethal or non-lethal, another guard comes in to replace them. But fortunately, I was able to get away from their line of sight. Alright, so now we're in the building where Meryl's team is held up, so we're going to use the grenade launcher once again to quickly blow up these sleep gas mines that they placed as part of their booby trap defense. So now, since I know where they are, we're just going to proceed right to them. Again, just using the grenade launcher to blow up every mine. It's easier than trying to shoot it with your pistol or a rifle. We're going to swap it back to stun. And then as we continue, you notice that I roll up the stairs, not really climb the stairs, because it's slower to climb the stairs naturally because of the animation. And I guess before I hit the trigger, I'm just going to double check my weapons one more time. And I'm going to swap this to stuns. And everything else looks good to go. Hey, what's up, Koya? Alright. So, we met up with Meryl's team, but of course, we skip all the cutscenes and dialogue that goes with it. And once we hit this skip, That's gonna be our first split, so we're a little bit behind because of menuing and, you know, just playing things a little bit safe. But now comes what's really like the first, like, you know, event, you know, guard rush, if you would, but it's with the frog unit, which is Liquid's elite unit. So what we're gonna do is equip the solar gun, which fully charged knocks out any guard in the game in one hit, as long as it's fully charged, that is. Alright, so luckily for me, Meryl's team took care of the 2 in the corner for me. So these 4 come in, so we trank them as they spawn, then we shoot these 2. And that one. Oh wow, she she really got hit. Alright, so now what we want to do is swap to the operator to slow down Jonathan, because we want Meryl to go in first, as part of a trigger. So as she climbs down the stairs, we want to roll ahead of her. And by doing so, it allows these frogs to come in sooner. Because if you don't, then you will have to wait for Meryl's team to go down and then do a backup trigger. Alright, so we're going to go in. And then one thing I like to swap out is this for the sleep gas mines, which I'm going to be placing at this doorway, which is a preemptive plant based on frogs that will come in later. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly trank these 2 if I can. Okay, there we go. Then... let's see, looks like there's one more. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I did forget to plant a mine at the edge there, so we're gonna have to deal with a backup. Alright, so yeah, sometimes they're a little bit finicky to hit because of iframes. Like, anytime they start jumping or rolling or, you know, climbing the ceiling, it puts them in iframes. Alright, so I think that should be all of them. Okay, no, there's one more. Alright, so now we're gonna shoot those frogs. And then see if I can quickly plant this sleep gas mine here. Oh, I see. So they spawn behind me. Oh, boy. Okay, where's the other frog at? Alright, so I think we should be all good to go. Alright, so that one detonated. Unfortunately, I didn't do this part right, because normally the frogs that have the grenade launcher spawn here. But for the time being, we're just gonna go for it as is. Alright, so now what I'd like to do is swap to the sleep gas satchels, which is another useful item that's gonna be used here and then later in Act 2, which is part of a setup. So I'm gonna plant one here, here, and especially at this spot because it's a critical spawn point. And if I have time, which I do since they're still climbing down the steps, I'm gonna plant a few more just for backup purposes. Alright, so once they kind of form together, what we're gonna do here is do a punch, and then punch Johnny separately so it skips a cutscene. Okay, so I'm just gonna take cover while accidentally running Meryl over with the roll, which, you know, she could take the hit. You know, so nothing to worry there. So we're gonna now swap to smokes, keep this, and as we're now waiting for another trigger to happen, we're gonna be using our sleep gas satchels in a very particular fashion, which, if done properly, will take out a whole group of frogs that come in, like as a backup team. And so what we're gonna do here is once this wall collapses, it should be any second now. Alright, so we're gonna throw this stun, get out of the way so we don't get blinded. And then right as we get up to here, we're just gonna detonate every satchel we planted. And just take care of any frogs that are in here. Okay, just be... Alright, so there we go. Alright, so we got a frog here that's a natural spawn, and a frog here that's a natural spawn. But as you can see, there's no frogs coming down because the satchels that we planted took out every frog that would show up later. So that part went fairly well. Because normally, if you don't have those satchels there, you have like a group of like, I want to say like 4 to 6 frogs that come in. Sometimes Merle team can take them out. Most times you have to take them out. And all it does is just, you know, just adds it more time to the encounter. Alright, so Johnny, being the bud that he is, he's going to disarm the laser system. Give us the thumbs up, letting us know that it's clear. Which we now proceed to floor 3. So what we're going to do is punch Jonathan, which skips a little bit of a trigger. And then if we could try to land on him, which I unfortunately didn't, but I think we should still be okay. Alright, so we did get the quick bulldozer. Because normally if you don't skip the trigger, you have to wait for this to happen. So now what we're going to do is stow this smoke as the bulldozer backs up, which then smokes this entire group of frogs that spawn in. Just shoot each one in the head while they're smoked, because again, while they're smoked, they can't attack you. Now we shoot this frog up here, this one in the upper right, and this one in the lower left, which are all natural spawns. And that concludes the frog segment. You know, which overall went fairly well, minus a few mishaps in floor 1. So now what we're gonna do here is punch Johnny a couple of times. And what that does is, like when Meryl enters the room and Johnny comes in near last, it triggers a dialogue trigger, which adds a few seconds of just in-game time to have to burn through. But by punching Johnny at the doorway while you as the player are in that room, it skips that dialogue trigger, just saves you a couple seconds. Alright, so next up is going to be another Rebel PMC encounter, which I refer to as Tank Alley. There is a tank, there's an alley, there's a lot of guards, lots of fun. Alright, so now what we're going to do is manage our inventory once again. So we're going to have our pistol, operator, the MGL, which we're going to keep, but we're going to convert to regular grenade rounds. We're now going to use yellow grenades, along with, I think that's it. We're going to keep the M4 for now. Alright, so we're just going to go to our inventory, make sure we got our yellow smokes, as well as our operator, if needed. Well, that's only because the console TV is here, and then the PC monitor's there. Listeners. Alright, so there's our tank, which the Rebels got a hold of to fight the PMCs with. You know, now normally you could try to help the Rebels win, but since we're in a speedrun, we're going to try to expedite it. Now, as a safety, we're going to roll into this guy so he doesn't get in your way of trying to prep some carefully placed smokes. Now, these are not any ordinary smokes. They're referred to as emotion smokes, which there's 4 emotions based on color, which is yellow for laughter, blue for sadness, green for fear, and then red for rage. And what the emotion smokes do versus regular smokes is not only does it make them cough and disable them temporarily, but they go through an emotion change. Based on the type that you use, it can be used to your advantage. Okay, so that one didn't get hit, so I'm just gonna do a backup of just shrinking him in the helmet, if I can. Alright, so I'm gonna try one more time. See if I can hit him, which I did. Alright, so now we're through. Alright, so that one was a little unfortunate. I mean, you do want to try to smoke 2 of these guards at once, but the toss is a little bit sensitive. You know, sometimes you might be on point, but the ricochet as it bounces may not land in the right place, but... yeah, as you can see, that guy's having a good time. He's enjoying the run. Alright, so that ends the Tank Alley segment. And now we get to the final area, which is going to be towards the exit. Hey, what's up, Bernard Westfall? Alright, so now what we're gonna do is trank these 2 guards. If we can. Alright, so we're keeping the disguise on because it has a good, like, overall base camo index, especially for an area like this. Then we're gonna trank this guard. Oh boy. Okay, we're okay. Yeah, you don't want to get a caution in this area at all. It makes it what could be routine, and it turns it into, you know, your worst nightmare before you know it. Alright, so we're gonna trank him, which is gonna lure another guard over. So we're just gonna carefully trank him. Now, since we're a little bit late, I'm gonna play it safe by crawling and then tranking this guard without creating a ricochet caution, which we did. That's gonna be later if I finish this run up. Alright, so we're gonna trank this guy since he has eyes on for a good part of the area. Now, since I'm running a little bit late where I should be, I'm just gonna trank this guy as a backup. Or tried to, at least, so I'm gonna use a smoke instead since I missed. Okay, I think he's affected. Alright, there we go.
What happened?
Alright, so I'm gonna quickly menu in another smoke as a backup strat in case this happens, because I don't want this guard at the end of this pathway to see me going to the door.
There's something wrong. Support unit, confirm their status.
Okay, and we're out. Whew! Man, you know, if there's anything about this game that I can say is that nothing ever goes routine. You know, and sometimes the slightest mistake can really change how a room gets handled. Or, you know, just changes your approach a bit. But that concludes Act 1 with a time of 22:52. And although my webcam and overlay blocks the stats, but we do have 0 continuous alerts, kills, and recover items used, since that is what is required to get the Big Boss rank, in addition to completing the game in less than 5 hours, completing it on TBE, as well as using no rations, can't kill, can't get spotted, can't continue, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, so that Act 1 went a little bit slower than I would like. You know, it typically takes me around like 20 and a half to 21 minutes to finish. But again, you know, certain things happen, and, you know, you just have to be able to react to them swiftly and carefully. So now we come up to Act 2, which, you know, in my opinion, has the hardest beginning area, even more difficult than, you know, the red zone of Act 1. But fortunately, there's a few approaches to get through. The approach I'm going to use is from another runner, which is Sparty. Currently leads the record in New Game Plus and New Game with the Big Boss rank, which their approach takes a very simple, you know, just hug left, you know, make the guards kind of see you but not really see you. And what that does is it kind of lures them up to this corner, moves them away from the rebel prisoners that they've held. And if properly done, we're just gonna trank this guy if we can. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so unfortunately I didn't get all the guards away. So what I'm gonna try to do is create a opportunity for these guys to kind of escape, so that it makes the rebels an ally to me. Because unlike oh boy. Oh, that's danger. Alright, so unfortunately I created a caution strat. So now I'm gonna have to take this a little more cautiously.
Who's that?
Alright, so I'm just gonna do an emergency smoke toss on those guys. Alright, so I think we're in the clear. Alright, so now I'm gonna try to use these smokes as a backup strat as they're coming along. Alright, so we're just kind of clearing away to the step climb that we're about to do. You know, since I ran out of anesthesia ammo, I'm just using my emotion round ammo, which follows the same principle of the emotion smokes. So again, I choose to use the sadness round since it does provide a little more ample opportunity to get by the guards without being detected. And since I did create that ruckus at the village, the rebels are allies to me, so I don't need to do anything in particular to not get detected by them. Alright, so this is where I gotta be really careful. Alright, so I think... I'm trying to think exactly where this guy is. Okay, so I think we're okay. You know, so that took a little bit longer than I would like, but... You know, Coe Valley Village is, you know, in my opinion, where runs go to die. You know, or at least just one of them. You know, because as you can see, just one simple thing creates like a whole, you know, near a chaos situation, which, you know, fortunately I was able to recover. Did have to take it a little bit safer just to avoid being detected by the PMCs. So we're gonna use this backup ammo supply since I used up a lot in the Coe Valley Village segment. So now what we're gonna do is continue to move along. And the reason for the thermals is it makes it easier to see the PMCs. You know, since the beginning of Coe Valley, it's like near sunrise, so it's a little hard to see. Once again, we're just gonna train this guy right here. Swap it back to normal vision since we no longer need it. And we're just now gonna equip our syringe, which is our helpful accessory item, which normally you would get when you meet up with Naomi in the lab during the mansion section. Okay, so we got a late alert. So I'm hoping these guys just keep running and I hit the trigger. Okay, so that's good. Because sometimes when those two leave during a caution, sometimes they turn around or just backup shows up in their place, but, you know, fortunately we were able to get out. And the beauty of it is that when you get to this power station, it clears out any, you know, caution alert or whatever phase you may be in.
What's going on?
Alright, so now for power station, we're just gonna hug left here, and once we hit this trigger at this hilltop here, it's gonna start this battle between the rebels and the PMCs. So for the most part, they're not focused on me, so what we're gonna do here is use these emotion smokes again. Try to get as many of the guards as I can. So it just buys me an opening to get through. Alright, so I think we're okay, but I'm just gonna throw another one, just to be safe. And so just like that, we're through. You know, so while those guys are raging out, we're just gonna hit this trigger. And that ends the power station. Because normally you could try to help the rebels win once again, just like in, you know, Act 1, but it takes longer. You know, it's not really worth the trade-off with the time loss that you would incur to, you know, clear the area out as well as the following area since the rebels did win. But in this case, since we kind of bypassed that fight, the game just assumes that the PMCs won. So what we're gonna do is throw a smoke there to... Let's see. Okay, I didn't get both of them, but I did get one. So I'm just gonna throw another one just as a backup. So I'm gonna swap this out with blue smokes going forward. Alright, so it seems like that other smoke hit him. Okay, so apparently I acquired the MP7, which was not intentional. Alright, so I'm just gonna... Oh, alright, so I gotta deal with him. Alright, so we're just gonna throw another smoke from behind cover. Should disable this guard. Alright, so I think we're okay. So again, we're gonna grab this backup ammo. And then again, we're gonna throw another smoke around the corner. Okay, which unfortunately was a little bit short, so I'm gonna throw another one. Wow, I can't hit this guy. Alright, there we go. Yeah, so you want to get the smoke close enough so that it hits them. The smoke itself does not, you know, need to hit them directly, but it's just enough to be within, you know, proximity range. So I'm gonna throw another smoke around this corner.
What happened?
Okay, so I think I missed a smoke.
Something wrong. Support units. Confirm their
Oh, so I did get him. Good. Yeah, normally that guy is a little bit further up that hill, but because of the caution that I triggered, it moved him out of place, but I think we should be good. Alright, so now what I want to do before I exit is I want to change my MGL 140 to regular nade, since we're going to be using that to clear through an area after this confinement facility. RMC, it still is. And what's up, Queen? I mean, I reset a couple of times since it was early, but yeah, we're still on this run though. All right, so now what we're gonna do is after we dodge that APC, we're gonna throw this smoke right at this spot, which is gonna smoke that guard, side roll over, and then as we go by, we're going to smoke this guard if we can. All right, so we got him right on target, which is good. So now, as a precaution, I'm gonna switch back to green smokes, because I do need at least one blue smoke for a quick finish knockout on Crying Wolf towards the Act 4 boss fight. So we're gonna throw another smoke there to occupy that guard. All right, hold on, swap to my M9. Take out this tower guard. And just like that, we're through. A little while ago, I beat my time for MGS2. Now that you asked that. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're spawning in with the grenade launcher with the lethal grenades equipped. And normally you have to do a delicate approach, but what I found is that if you just take this grenade launcher, shoot right there, it makes every guard look in the center and doesn't look anywhere near this path I'm just running. You know, so even though it says caution, it's completely irrelevant, since once I hit this trigger line, it causes the armored bulldozer to show up, and the caution should disappear. You know, which, as you can see, the caution is gone, rebels show up, and so at the expense of one grenade, you get through an entire area, you know, without being seen. So again, we're swapping back to stuns while we wait for the bulldozer to come in to bust down this gate, as well as taking out a few PMCs. Alright, so once again, you could try to help the rebels win here, but we're not going to do that. You know, so the rebels are just going to kind of keep their PMCs occupied while we make our approach to the mansion, which is where we will have to get to the lab where Naomi is being held at. Alright, so we're just going to go right up this step here, through this door, through another door, and then throw this grenade at this corner here, which is going to smoke both guards that spawn here. Alright, so just a couple of rolls just to get out of the smoke. Alright, and just like that, you're out. You know, so the door that leads to the lab is locked, so you have to go through this top floor through an open sky ceiling, which now takes us through this underground tunnel, which will now lead us into the lab. And before I actually climb the ladder, I'm just going to do a quick check of my inventory. So we're going to want the following, which is going to be the railgun, which is normally acquired from Crying Wolf for beating her in Act 4. We're also going to be using the 50 caliber rifle, which is a bonus item that you can get, either through the Drebin shop, through a code, but it is a useful item to have in New Game Plus. Let's see, so we're going to have Operator, Stun, and last thing is Sleep, the satchels, since we're going to be using it as part of a setup. Alright, so here we meet up with Naomi. She kind of explains the, some of the idea of what's going on between the nanomachines, the SLP system, as well as evaluate Snake's, aging condition. And also where you actually acquire the syringe, which is, if you play this on a new game instead of New Game Plus, since we already have it. Now we start the next frog gauntlet, which is not nearly as long as the first one, but you do have to beat these frogs to advance.
You're surrounded, Snake.
So we're gonna use these stuns, throw them over this wall, try to knock out this whole group if possible. And then while the last one's trying to detonate, we're gonna try to plant at least 2 satchels. All right, since I did miss one, I'm gonna plant 3 to try to help keep this going. So I think she went left, so I'm gonna try to ever so carefully throw it over this gap, over the wall there. And then throw another one just to make sure she gets hit. Okay, and I got her. Alright, so now we wait here by this bed, which, depending on the difficulty, the frogs that come in after the first group, they spawn in based on where your location is, and since that I know that by being near this bed, any, frogs that come in as a backup always show up there, which is why I placed the 3 satchels preemptively. And so as each one comes in, I just hit the satchel, instantly knocks them out. Makes life easy. Alright, so we got one more. Alright, so there we go. So it's the first group plus 3 backup waves, which is, the pattern. Alright, so now we're gonna change this out for the solar gun, which we're gonna be using later. And then this for the shotgun, which is gonna be another item I'm gonna be using later in this run. Alright, so I'm just setting up my item wheel for the next fight. So now we can be prepared to fight Laughing Octopus, which is the actual first boss fight of the game. So what we're gonna do is manipulate her into going to the left with the railgun charged up, since she's very weak to it. So what we're gonna do is just gonna back up, charge the gun, and stay by the story so she goes right. Fire 1 shot, which as you can see takes off a lot of health. And then we're gonna stay here to shoot out these mines that get deployed every time she disappears. Which then, depending on where you are positioned, she will spawn to a number of places, which is usually by this painting here, or by fake mannequin, which we got the painting. So now what we do is we wait here until you hear that little movement sound where this fake Otacon shows up. Then as he comes in, just shoot him in the head. Then you're gonna stand right here looking at this window, which, if done properly, should do a phase skip, which, as you can see, it clearly did. Trying to see which spawn I got. Okay, so I got the far spawn, which is unlucky, but, when you do the phase skip, which bypasses a fake frog, where she disappears and reappears into a frog soldier, and after you bypass that, she can spawn in one of 3 places, and this one being the worst one. But as you do that, you just charge up your railgun for a final charge shot, and just like that, you take out Octopus for phase 1. Now, you might be considering, well, wait a minute, you just took her out lethally. Does that count as a kill? I mean, is your big boss rank on? Well, when it comes to the boss fights in this game, in their beast forms, if you take them out lethally, it does not count against you as an actual kill. However, during this beauty form, when they're not in their beast form, if you do kill them in this state, it will count against you. So the beauty of New Game Plus during that part is we just lure them into, you know, one part of the room while we're laying on our back, which causes the boss to go down prone with you. Because when they're standing, they have this high evasion chance. It's really absurd, but the way to bypass is just to, you know, roll into prone, flip a couple of times, which then will cause the boss to kind of lay on the floor with you, charge up the solar gun, and then 2 charge shots, just like you've seen, and she's out.
Snake, follow Naomi's trail.
Alright, so now we proceed
You might run.
with the next part, which is meeting up with where Naomi got taken. So now we're going to replace the railgun with this. Keep this, and replace the operator with the color grenade. Alright, so we're going to do this, shotgun, and solar gun. Now, casually, it can be a little bit confusing knowing where to navigate. You know, I mean, Otacon kind of tells you to look for footsteps, which you can use the solid eye night vision, you know, feature to see where the footsteps are. But, you know, since this is New Game Plus, I mean, I know exactly where to go. You know, so basically you just, you know, hang left here, and then when you get to this area, you go right. You know, because, I mean, the enemy tries to add, like, different footstep trails to kind of, like, mislead you. So now what we're going to do is take out this sniper.
You think that could be Naomi's?
Alright, so now we're going to quickly swap temporarily to our green grenades, because even though you can't see it on the radar, but there is a guard posted right here, which is only on TBE, if I'm correct. And what that's going to do is just going to put him in that coughing state where I can just run right on by. Makes it a whole lot easier to, you know, bypass him, because otherwise you would have to either shoot, throw a mag, or do some other way to kind of distract him. But throwing the smoke, knowing that he's there, is pretty easy. Alright, so now we're coming up to the section which now it starts mixing in the frog soldiers, in addition to the PMCs. And, you know, unlike the PMCs, the frogs hear a lot better than they do. They're very temperamental when you try to fight them, so you do want to remain undetected as much as possible. Alright, so now we're just going to crawl ever so carefully to this frog that's posted here. You know, just a couple of shots to the head, preferably one. Gets the job done. So now what we're going to do is use this grenade on this PMC, which is planting a claymore. And, you know, lucky him, he gets hit by a green smoke grenade by yours truly. Which is just another easy way to bypass them rather than trying to make a tricky shot. Oh yeah, if you hear a bunch of screaming, he's fine. Everything's fine. Completely fine. Alright, so a quick trank, and that should be the final guard we have to deal with in this section. And we're going to leave the solar gun equipped, as that's what we're going to be using next for the APC section of what's the first auto-scroller of the run, which is going to be escaping this region using Drebin's APC, which we're trying to get to Otacon and, you know, his helicopter. Alright, so like I said, we're spawning with the solar gun. Because we're going to be using it quite a bit here. Oh, Nappy, he's completely fine. You know, like, I mean, I have it on the highest authority that no PMCs were harmed in the making of this speedrun. Alright, so we got these power suits, which are really troublesome to take out casually, but since we have the solar gun, it just takes one fully charged shot to take it out. In New Game, you would have to use V-ring shotgun rounds, which, depending on how and where you hit them, it takes, you know, 5 to 6 shots, but solar gun makes life easier. You know, so every time you see a power suit, just charge your gun, get a shot in, and I believe there's 6 of them you gotta take out, so that's number 5, and he's number 6. And once we get rid of all 6, we praise the sun. Charge that solar gun. You know, just between you and me, charging the solar gun in that fashion is the best part of the category for New Game Plus. It's really silly, but it's cool at the same time. Alright, so now we're coming up to the section where we're surrounded by geckos and PMCs, which are affected by the SOP system. So So we're gonna shotgun that guard at the beginning so he doesn't climb up front. Because although, again, like even though the PMCs are kind of like, you know, zombified, if you would, hitting them with the 50 caliber will count as a kill if you hit them with it. So you want to try to avoid getting any hits on them if you can. You know, and then the key to this is you want to aim at the weak spot of that gecko, which is the little like dome-shaped object on the top of their head. You know, normally this would be a piece of cake with something like the... Okay, I'm gonna quit my rations as a safety, because I got hit there. Oh no, dude.
Snake?
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, that does tend to happen if you take too long. You know, if the zombie comes up and you don't have the ration equipped. So, that kills the big boss rank, unfortunately. But we're still gonna try to continue and just, you know, demonstrate the category as best as we can. But yeah, that's really unfortunate. So once again, we're gonna shotgun this guy and allow this gecko to hit the APC, which he didn't do before. Because when a gecko kicks or charges the APC, it shakes off any soldiers that get on it. Alright, so again, we're just trying to make quick work of these geckos. Trying to aim at their weak spots, which are indicated by that little like red dot.
Let them get too close.
Alright, there we go. So that went a lot smoother than before. I mean, there is a high risk where a gecko can shoot you, even when you're in the machine gun cannon. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna lose time over that, as well as having the first continue of the run. But yeah, it does happen. Hey, what's up, Snore? How you doing, dude?
Got an MGS on our ass.
Alright, so now what we're gonna do here is start shooting this gate, which, you know, I also have it on the highest authority that this is the world's strongest gate.
The gate! Snake, shoot the gate!
You know, and Otacon tends to backseat here a little bit. I mean, he's telling you to shoot the gate, which I'm already doing, but, you know, Otacon's trying to help. It's not his fault. So now we're gonna blow up this MGS APC carrier tank, which does not count as a kill, but allows you to take it out of the equation and just resume shooting the gate, which, if I'm correct, Otacon's gonna remind us to... What was it again? I think it was shooting the gate. I could have sworn it was something about shooting the gate.
The gate! Snake,
Oh.
shoot the gate!
Yeah, that's what I was supposed to do. You know, I'm sorry, Otacon, I forgot for a second. I went into autopilot shooting the gate that I was supposed to hit. Yes, it's beyond bulletproof. Absolutely beyond bulletproof. Alright, so... coming up to the later half. You know, we got this segment plus the final exit. You know, so aside from that continue that I had during the first Gecko gauntlet, you know, this is going fairly well. Alright, so once again, just blow up the tank. Doesn't count as a kill.
Out of my way! That's moving! Hang on! It's gonna get bumpy!
Oops, sucks to be that guy.
Up front! Here they come!
Alright, so here comes our last set of geckos. We just shoot whatever's in the way. Not really much to do here, but just, you know, take out any geckos you want to.
Almost there.
And now coming up is going to be an audio trigger. depending on what my stress meter would be. Usually if I did this in, you know, one attempt without dying, the stress meter would usually reach around like 48-50%, which, to kind of quickly explain what the stress meter is, it's the percentage value of what Snake's stress level is at. And if it exceeds 50%, which could be anything due to being in sunlight, if it's hot or cold, if he's in, you know, a combat situation where it's an alert, and if it goes above 50%, it causes him to drain stamina, which could be negated with the syringe, which is why I have it on my previous equip as a backup measure. Alright, so we're just gonna navigate our way out of the marketplace while these geckos are just, you know, making a mess out of everything. Alright, so we're gonna use our 50 caliber just to quickly dispose of this gecko. A couple of shots to the head does the trick. And just like that, we're out. So that concludes Act 2. Right on this split here. So unfortunately, I did get the kill and a continue somewhere, apparently. Well, the continue I know that I got, but apparently I got a kill somewhere else. It possibly could have happened just during the, when I was trying to shoot the geckos on the first go-around, but like I said, having the continue alone already disqualifies the rank, unfortunately, but I'm just gonna tread along, try to see if I can save some time, which, coming up is gonna be Act 3, which, you know, casually for some players kind of regarded as a, you know, a slow point of the run, slow point of the game, actually, but fortunately there are some things you can do to speed it up, which requires, in addition to following the resistance member, which is what you're instructed to do, but we do some misdirect shots to kind of speed him up along his way. You know, which, you know, like I said, hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that as we get into it. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up our menu for Act 3, as well as our disguise, which is gonna consist of a European trench coat. And what I'm gonna do is keep the trench coat, but change the face camouflage, which in the cutscene that I skipped, it showed Snake with a younger version of himself. So what we're gonna do first is set up our weapons that we're gonna need. So we're gonna use the solar gun, the Uzi, since that's gonna be used in the bike escape later, the M4, and the railgun, which we're gonna sub out this Uzi with the grenade launcher at times. And the M4 and railgun are weapons that we're gonna use later. One that's a spawn, and then the other one is something we're gonna need to beat Raven later. So now we're gonna swap to Raging Beauty, and the importance of changing the face camouflage is so that when guards see you, as long as you have the trench coat disguise on with no visible weapon, they don't become alerted to you, which is really helpful to have. And it's something that it can be done on New Game or New Game Plus, which basically means you have to beat the B&B bosses, the Beauty and Beast, you know, Laughing Octopus, Raging Raven, Crying Wolf, Screaming Mantis. If you beat any of them non-lethally, I believe you get the face mask as the reward, which doesn't matter which one you use, but as long as you use one. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna shoot at the ground right at his feet,
Something's up, Snake.
which is gonna cause our resistance friend to just run in a panic. And the reason we do that is so that it advances him further along without, you know, taking what seems like an eternity for him to get there on his own. You know, because boosting him forward with that misdirect shot is faster than trying to wait for him to, you know, move on his own. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to wait for him to start resuming his, you know, leisurely walk. And as soon as he turns this corner, we're going to go up these stairs, where we're now going to prepare for the next segment. And as we wait here, I'm going to wait for a whistle audio cue, which is right there. So as he starts moving, we're going to be using crying rounds again on these PMCs. So we're going to headshot both of these guys. And what this is going to do is that whenever the resistance member sees a PMC under the effect of crying, screaming, or something to that effect, he basically ignores them. Because normally when he sees a guard, he stops in place, you know, waiting for you to kind of like take them out for him. But since we're just going to use the crying rounds to kind of do that for us, he's just gonna move along and not really stop. You know, don't worry, the guards are fine. I mean, they're, you know, the reason why they're this upset is because we're in Act 3. It's not fun. They're like, no, how could this be? How could we be doing Act 3? I mean, hey, I feel for them. I mean, you know, I don't like Act 3 as much as the next person, but, you know, there are ways to kind of help this move along. Hey, what's up, Melon? So from here on out, we're just gonna follow him normally. You know, because, like, the misdirect shots, boosts, can only be done in certain areas. You know, because sometimes when he hears a ricocheted shot, he runs into a completely different area, which can actually put him, you know, out of where you want him to go. But we do this misdirect twice. You know, so what I did at the beginning was one, and we'll do the second one later. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait by this courtyard section, which you need to be within proximity distance of the resistance member so that he resumes his patrol. And at the same time, we're just gonna shoot those two guards. Reason being that we want to move them so that when the resistance guy comes back, he will not really stop to look at them, because he does get startled whenever he sees an unconscious PMC. So thankfully for us, our resistance member, you know, kind of had to go. You know, he just couldn't hold it in. You know, so he's kind of, you know, doing his thing over there by the statue, which buys me time to move both of these PMCs off to the side. You know, because again, we don't want the resistance member to see them. You know, don't want them to pause for really any reason, just keep them moving. And then while he comes back, we're just gonna hang out here. Yo, what's up, Bearish? Yeah, because again, the trick to this is like you want to be within like a certain distance. You can't really run ahead of the resistance member. You can't really let him get ahead of you too far. You know, because like it kind of follows like a patrol route. You know, so really the best thing you can do is just stay behind him, but within a certain distance, as well as not letting him see you at all, which is very important. Because again, you want to minimize his, you know, little, like you want to minimize like, you know, as little interruptions as you can avoid. You know, just to kind of help optimize his patrol pathing. Alright, so when he makes that turn right there, I'm just gonna go right over this railing here. And it's important that you take out these guards here, because if you don't, the resistance member will go an alternate route, which goes through an extra 2 areas. Takes a lot longer to get through. So the easiest thing to do is just shoot the one guard, shoot the second one since it lures them over. And then we just hang out here and let the resistance member just kind of scout things out. He notices that they're unconscious. And because that it's open, you know, he should move along, which he does. You know, because by going this way, it eliminates one extra zone that he has to go through, which saves a lot of time, as well as any, you know, potential guards that may have to be, you know, mitigated. You know, so by taking out those two, it clears his way to the end. You know, so once again, we're just gonna follow him normally. And we're not gonna do any more guard neutralizations until the next zone, where we have to neutralize 2 more guards with the MK2 pistol. And after that, doesn't have any more guard interactions. But instead, we have our second and, you know, final boost shot, which is gonna be a carefully timed ricochet if I can get it. You know, but in the meantime, we just kind of enjoy, you know, following this guy around, which is, you know, to no joke, just checking every corner. It's like, don't worry, nothing to see here. Alright, so now he should just run straight to the exit. And we're just gonna follow right behind him. So now coming up is the second section. The first one that we just ran through being like one of the longer ones. So this is the northeast sector, where we're not going to do any misdirect, boost shots to kind of move our resistance guy along. We're just going to let him move on his own until he gets to a certain corner where we have to knock out some guards in his way. And of course, once again, being in the, disguise that we have along with the, Raging Raven, beauty face mask, guards and including this, chopper won't get alerted to us if he gets seen. So it makes it a lot easier to move around without the fear of being detected. So now what he's going to do is he's going to turn this corner, and then these guards are kind of going to move in. So we're just going to kind of like stay behind them, make sure they don't notice them. They might notice me instead, which is fine, because like I said, since we're in disguise, I don't really care. Now that he's moving forward, we want to shoot both of these guards here. So we're going to take out... Okay, I missed one. Let's see if I can try to get him.
This is HQ.
Okay, I might be okay. Okay, there he is.
Acknowledge. Sending reinforcements. Use extra caution.
Okay, I think we're okay. So as long as this guy doesn't panic and, see the guards taken out, he won't run away. He'll just resume his normal, patrol. And even though we're in caution, we don't have to worry about the SWAT team or just the backup team to see us, because again, our disguise prevents us from being detected. But the only thing we don't want to have happen is the guards seeing the resistance members and still try to take them away, since technically nobody's supposed to be out at this time since it's a curfew. But I don't know, at the same time, since I'm out here, why do they let me go through? I don't know, maybe it's because of my good looks. Just saying. But anyway, so yeah, you don't want any of the guards to see the resistance member at all. Just, you lose time, potentially lose your run, depending on how you try to recover it. Alright, so now comes the north sector, which is the final area for this resistance section. So now we're going to do this carefully timed ricochet shot, so I'm going to have to focus. So what we're going to do is go up to this doorway, spawn him going into his disguise.
This is HQ.
Shoot this doorway.
Understood. The state of alert has been lifted. Resume positions.
Now, if I did it right, he should run down and to the left.
Do you hear whistling?
And he did, so that's great. Sometimes if you're early or late on the ricochet shot, he will run down here, but sometimes he'll run off into this side alley here instead of to this right half section, which is where he's supposed to go. So thankfully we did get that. It will save a lot of time since our rebel, or not our rebel, but our resistance friend is in his, discount disguise as a PMC guard without a weapon. He tends to walk a little bit slower so it doesn't draw suspicion from the other guards, which, of course, then again, I mean, he doesn't have a gun. And he's using a biker's helmet as a helmet. Not really standard issue, but, I mean, from a distance, you can't really tell the difference. Oh, yeah, then you got this roaming Jeep, which shows up on higher difficulties. I believe starting with hard and then TBE being the second one. And then I believe on normal it shows up late. Particularly like when you're halfway done with this section, meaning halfway of the resistance member getting through. But on BigBoss hard and TBE, the boss extreme, the Jeep just shows up at the very beginning. Since again, we're pretty much surrounded by guards, we really can't do anything. Shouldn't have to do anything, and other than the first shot that I took to push him forward, we don't have to do anything else but just follow him. So this is kind of like the, the slow part of the run, if you would. There's really not a whole lot you can do here. Because, I mean, even though it's New Game Plus, you need the resistance member to get to the very end where the hideout is. Even though, I mean, people that run this game know where it is. They can just run to it if they want to. But unfortunately, the game has it tied where you need the Resistance member to be present at that exit. You can't just skip ahead of them, you know, as much as I, you know, or any other runner wish they could. Alright, so just gonna stay out of the Jeep's way. Also make sure he doesn't get run over, because on certain circumstances, the Jeep can and will run over the Resistance guy and kill him. You know, which, if that happens, it's a rip run. Or a reload if you're going for a multi-segmented run. But since we're single segment, can't really do any saves. If something happens, I either gotta start over or just take a continue. I wonder if this is what they refer to as like as the scenic route patrol. You know, but it's during times like this is where it's like, you know, check your phone, you know, bathroom break, potentially. You know, I mean, it takes quite a while for our friend to move along. You know, because, I mean, as much as you would like to push him there, you know, via knocking him out and dragging him there, or trying to do a misdirect shot, there's really not much you can do but just let him, you know, move on his own. You know, like, it's during moments like this when I run this category is when I play the in-game iPod music, you know, just to kind of help pass the time during, you know, slow sections like this. But I'm not doing it in this run for purpose of just submission and, you know, in case, you know, things get muted just because of, you know, copyrighted, you know, materials being flagged, you know, so that no audio gets muted. But yeah, normally when I go through moments like this, I just start jamming to some classic tunes. You know, because, like, that's the funny thing, like, when this game was released in 2008, they had huge, like, endorsements from, you know, like, Apple, Ubisoft. You know, so, like, you have, like, an in-game iPod, you have the Altair, like, costume outfit. You know, so it's kind of amazing, like, you know, how far it's been, you know, since, like, this game was released. I mean, you know, the iPod itself is already, like, you know, to some people, like, a relic of the past. But during this game's time, I mean, the iPod was the hot thing. Yeah, did I ever mention how much this Jeep honks at you? It just doesn't like you, is what I've concluded. It just honks at you really for no reason. Alright, so what's important here is that you need to have this Resistance guy get to this corner, which once completed, he'll run off to the side and change his outfit back. And he's just gonna look around for a bit and then just move forward. And just follow him in. And voila, we made it to the hideout. Which then ends the, you know, the resident, or the Resistance section. Yeah, I know, it is pretty weird seeing him in a trench coat like that. Like, I remember seeing it for the first time, and I was like, wow, man, that's pretty unusual. You're so used to, like, the sneaking suit, the Octo Camo suit, or hell, even, like, the fatigues, if you're referring to, like, MGS4. And then when you see the trench coat, it's like, okay. Alright, so here we meet up with Big Mama, which is, you know, spoiler alert, it's actually Eva, you know, from MGS4. She leads the Resistance in, you know, Eastern Europe, where we're at. Kind of explains, you know, things that happened since the events of MGS4, you know, the purpose of, you know, like what they're trying to do and trying to combat against, you know, Liquid, the Patriots, and the GW system, and JD, as well as why they have to move this, you know, and why we have to transport Big Boss's body, or supposedly Big Boss's body. Alright, so now comes what is, like, the hardest, if not the most dangerous section of the run, which is the bike escape. It has a high failure rate, depending on, you know, how it's handled, so I'm just going to use my rations as a backup. along with my mini Uzi to detonate barrels to kill guards without actually counting the kill against me. So our first barrel shot is going to be right here. Followed up with a second one as we get to this part right here. Alright, just try to trank as many guards as you can. Just makes it less likely you're going to get shot by somebody. Alright, so shoot those two. Quickly swap back to the Uzi. Shoot this barrel. This barrel. And then shoot any other guards left over. Don't have to worry about the geckos. They just ignore you. Except for that guy, though. Too bad for him. Alright, so you notice that I use the auto-aim here because it's easier to target the guards on the move rather than trying to manually aim. There are exceptions to that for certain shots, but you will be seeing the auto-aim used quite a bit. Except for this section where I swap to the solar gun to take out these guards faster, since during parts like this, it only takes one hit for them to go down, whether if it's lethal or non-lethal. Alright, so I did take a little bit of a hit, but, you know, but it's not that bad over what could usually happen. Because the important thing is you want to take out the Humvee turrets as soon as possible, since they do the most damage to you. We're gonna try to shoot this gunner. Alright, I'm not sure if I can or not, but now we're gonna shoot the barrel here, which is gonna take out some more guards for us. Alright, let me see. So I did not take them out. Alright, so what you're seeing is, like, as I fire, I equip and unequip my inventory wheel, which allows me to get multiple shots in without having to wait for the reload animation. You know, because when you fire the round and then go through your item rotation, it kind of reloads the round for you, which comes in handy for that part. Alright, so now comes the frog section of the bike escape. So again, we're going to try to do another carefully timed barrel shot. Alright, so we got it. Use the auto-aim there. Manually, actually no, auto-aim there. Alright, so we're going to auto-aim that. Manual aim this one. And unfortunately, I got a little bit late, but we're going to blow that barrel up, so we take out some more frogs. And then we're just going to auto-aim the rest of the section here. Alright, so the important thing when you get to this section is you want to end with the solar gun. And it was found that when you enter this loading zone for the second half of the bike escape, whatever weapon is equipped automatically gets refilled. We're not sure why this happens, but the most convenient thing to do knowing that is to have the solar gun of all things, because it is the only weapon out of this item set that we're using that does not get refilled. It has a finite ammo. But as you can see, since we went in there with it, it refilled it to full for us, which is really helpful. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to temporarily swap out the mini Uzi, and we're going to hit Raging Raven with one round of this. Alright, so what that does is it pushes her health to 75%, since one shot of that grenade launcher type does exactly that amount. And what that's going to do is it's going to set up a quick kill for Raging Raven, since whatever damage you do to her here carries over. But from here on out, we're just in an auto-scroller, just shooting out, you know, drones. I mean, you don't really have to, but it's free driving points.
Snake, enemy to the left. Need help in front.
Just shoot her for good measure. I mean, like once you hit her with a grenade round, she doesn't really take any more damage since it's capped. You know, but sometimes it's fun just to shoot her, just to let her know that you're there. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is swap to the solar gun and hit this Humvee turret, like so. Alright, so we got it. I fired a few more just to be safe.
Yes, nice one, Snake.
You know, because Humvee turrets are your worst enemy here. You know, they're the most dangerous and do the most damage. If left up. So now we got another one coming up here, which I'm gonna time another shot, like so. So we got him. And we're gonna keep it charged so that when we turn into the next intersection, we have it ready to go for a pincer Humvee encounter.
Enemy dead ahead.
Alright, so I'm gonna see if I can get it. This is really hard to do. Alright, I got him. Yeah, that is very hard to get both of those gunners like that. And the reason why you want to get rid of at least one, if not both, is so that it reduces the chances of you getting shot by them, like, as you pass them. Or possibly, if they don't hit you, they'll blow up a car, which if you're next to it, you do take damage as well as burning damage that ticks. Alright, so we're gonna shoot both of these frogs out in slow-mo. And we're back. Alright, so we're gonna take out
Are you okay?
a couple frogs here. Swap to the Uzi. Shoot out these barrels there and there. Auto aim any frogs that didn't get hit. Alright, so now Eva's gonna take a scripted hit here, so we're just gonna blow up these barrels. Auto aim any frogs that didn't get hit. Blow up these barrels. Shooting any frogs left over, and just like that. We're on our way out. Yeah, Eva's tough. She just took a sniper round to the chest. Alright, so we're gonna shoot that barrel. Solar gun, these two. And that one. And just like that, we're done. Now we just watch Snake and Eva ride into the sunset, even though there's no sunset.
I think we lost them.
Alright, so that's the bike escape. Alright, so fortunately, there were some really good sections. I didn't take too much damage that put me in danger. Or at the very least, that would require the use of a ration backup just to keep the run alive. So, like I said, that bike escape is where most runs go to die. I mean, you know, people that run this category, or even just in any percent, are, you know, very concerned because, you know, there's lots of opportunities to take damage and get killed. But now we go on to Raging Raven. So we got a very unique setup where we're just gonna stand right here with this railgun, point at this window, because Raging Raven's path is consistent, and as she passes while it's fully charged, okay, I missed. Alright, so unfortunately I'm gonna have to wait for her to come in, since I didn't get the quick kill. Alright, so I'm just gonna have to wait for her to fly in. Alright, she's kind of just taking her sweet time getting in here. I just need to hit her once with this. Come on, get in here. There she is. Oh, that didn't finish her. Alright, I'm gonna have to try another one. Alright, I'm gonna have to go to a backup strat. This is not working. So I'm gonna swap to the 50 caliber. It's good for situations like this. Alright, I was afraid she was gonna do that. Alright, so I'm gonna try to bait her in again with the railgun. If she'll cooperate. See where she's at. Almost there. Got her. Yeah, so unfortunately I did not get the quick kill. I believed I fired early on my first railgun shot, and, you know, sometimes you can get a second one if you hit in the right spot, but, you know, at least we tried to recover it as best we could. So now, just like the last one with Laughing Octopus, you just go to the ground, roll a few times so you cause her to crawl so she can't dodge these charge shots. And just like that, it's over. Yeah, so I lost quite a bit of time not getting the quick kill, but, you know, things happen. You know, I mean, it's certainly not the first time I've messed up that shot, and probably won't be the last, knowing how this game can be. But the beauty of trying to do that setup is knowing that if you use the XM25 grenade launcher at any point during the bike escape, preferably in the beginning so you get it over with, it damages her down to 75%, and then a fully charged railgun while she's in flight at that spot does 75%. If it's in the body, if you somehow hit her in the head, that's like an insta-kill, but I've only gotten that once running this game, and it's very hard to do, so the idea of using the XM25 with the fully charged shot for just like a body hit is like a good balance in between. So yeah, that's Act 3. Have at you, Snake. What's up, dude? Alright, so now coming up is going to be Act 4, but before that, we're going to take a nostalgic trip blast to the past in a few different ways. You know, so like we're returning to where it all began for, you know, for most people that, you know the series is Shadow Moses, you know, MGS1. And we're going to visit it twice, if you would. So after skip all these cutscenes. More cutscenes, and then it's just a save checkpoint. So now what's going to happen is we're going to visit it the first time as the actual MGS1 component to the heliport. So this is going to be very, very fun in the feels here. So we're just going to run right up to the helipad, get the chaff. Probably get spotted, but we don't care about that. So just going to run right along, go off to the side, hope we don't get shot here. Get the flip, go in the vent. Just like that, you're through. But you know what? It was all a dream. It was all a dream. Man, Snake's starting to lose it. I'm worried about him. But yes, so you get that Shadow Moses trip, which is basically a dream. You know, you just basically sneak in through the vent. And then now actually starts Act 4. We actually go into Shadow Moses for real. But as old Snake. Alright, so Otacon drops us off. And as you could guess, yes, it's snowing. Alright, so we're gonna swap to thermal, put our syringe on previous. Now we're gonna swap out some of our items here. So we're gonna have MK2, magazine, our chaff grenades, and the 50 caliber rifle. And the reason for the chaff grenades is because, unlike MGS1, we're not dealing with genomes. You know, the genome soldiers. You know, we're dealing with something much worse. It is not only this gecko that's just patrolling this entryway, but instead of genome soldiers, it's replaced with dwarf geckos, which are the, you know, miniature three-armed, like little, like, you know, robots. Very annoying to deal with when you get spotted by them, but their greatest weakness? The chaff grenade. Yeah, we did get past it, real deal, but I died at the APC section. Alright, so we're gonna throw a chaff in here, because as you can see, this place is filled with dwarf geckos, and, you know, to them, camouflage doesn't matter. if their laser sight locks onto you, it's an instant alert. You know, and their hearing is also just as potent in certain areas, so chaff grenade just gets you through without any trouble. And since this follows a patrol cycle, you just hug left. This gecko should turn to the right. Just walk behind him and then just go right through the right through the door into the nuclear warehouse. It really makes you want to play MGS1 again. It's been too long. I know. I mean, I could just imagine how excited people must have been when they saw that in the game. Like, not only the actual MGS1, but you revisit it in this fashion. Alright, so Agon's gonna tell us that, you know, that the power's out. You know, just to kind of like investigate, see if this door will open. And would you know? It won't open. Alright, so now he tells us that, you know, the reason that that door won't open is because the power's out. So he's instructing us to go to the lab.
Snake, I've checked the
You know, the same lab where we met Otacon for the very first time in MGS1. As well as fighting, you know, the ninja known as Gray Fox. Alright, so just spam the elevator button 4 times, opens it up faster.
Okay, first go down the central hallway. Don't worry, it's not electrified anymore.
Yeah, no Nikita missile launchers needed here. Alright, so the audio that you're hearing for, like, the flashbacks is, unfortunately not from the original game of MGS1. It's actually the audio from Metal Gear Solid 1 The Twin Snakes, which is the remake of MGS1, but for the GameCube. But yes, you do hear that from time to time as, like, Snake is, like, reliving past memories. Alright, so now you notice that I got the magazine equipped is because, you know, surprise, surprise, the Gecko's figured out somebody to turn on the power. So we're gonna throw that magazine in the corner to distract it, as smart as it is. And we're just gonna run right down this hallway and call the elevator. So once again, just press it 4 times. Open it up. Get back up to the first floor where now the door should be open. Or rather it has power so you can open it, I should say. Alright, so I'm gonna hang down on the left here and then jump into a trigger with my 50 caliber rifle equipped. Because even though that Gecko was very smart at being distracted at that magazine, but guess what? Guess what? The thing to ascend Metal Gear is not how big or small it is. They could use elevators! 200 IQ right there. So, with my gun equipped, just welcome it with a couple shots to the head, and that's it. Don't have to wait the 3 minutes to distract it. Just bop it in the head with a couple of 50 caliber rounds. If you're really good, you can hit the weak spot for a 1-shot kill. But, you know, a couple shots is better safe than sorry. Alright, so now I'm trying to set up for the next part, which is going to be against Crying Wolf. So it's a little bit of a delicate setup, but I'm going to try to do what's referred to as the quick kill. Which, actually, no, wait, I need my M4. How do I want to do this? Alright, so we'll do M4... And then... Oh yeah, you don't need the solar gun here yet. Alright, so we do need the M4 because you do spawn with it when you meet her. So we're gonna go M4, grenade launcher, smokes.
Okay, Snake, it's open now.
Do I have a favorite MGS? In terms of speedrunning, I like to run 2 a lot. Which I hope to get to later tonight, if I can. But as far as, like, overall, I do have good memories of this game, particularly with the multiplayer component, known as Metal Gear Online 2. And I had a lot of good times with that. Alright, so now we're going to be fighting Crying Wolf. which her weapon of choice is the railgun. You know, but our weapon of choice here is gonna be a smoke grenade and stun rounds of our MGL140, which again we're using periodically. So now Crying Wolf can spawn in one of several places. It's RNG where she can be. So there's like a far spawn, a middle spawn, and what I refer to like as a god spawn or something close. So as you can see, she spawned over there, which is good. The closest spawn she can be that's on the left is by this hill right here. And the alternate spawn is right in that corner, which is also very good. So I don't have to like go as far to find her. So what I want to do while her pod is open is throw a smoke right at her so that she starts coughing. And then if it works out, I can just fire 5 rounds of this. Oh no. Alright, that's not good. Yeah, so I didn't smoke it entirely, so now she's gonna run. And what I might have to do is equip some backup smokes. Or stuns, since, yeah, I didn't get that smoke right. Oh boy. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, we gotta give it some space so it doesn't kill us. Alright, so now I'm trying to... Alright, so she is in the open, so I can make this work. Just throw a smoke at her, see if it'll hit her. Nope, gotta throw a little bit farther. I can't hit her. Come on. Please hit her. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I'm gonna throw another one, followed by some more stuns. Oh no, did it close up? Oh, it did. Oh, wait! Throw another one. See if I can try to save this still. Whew! Alright, so that went very poorly, unfortunately. I mean, I did get the spawn that I want, but I did not get the quick knockout, which the way that it's supposed to work is that when her pod is open and she starts coughing, her hitbox is wide open, so you can hit her as many times as you like. And with the stun grenade, since it doesn't really like push your hitbox limit, it makes it so you can just knock her out faster. But it was a good recovery, using another backup method of using smokes and stun grenades, which is only when you're desperate. Especially if you run out of stun nades with the MGL. So, fortunately I did not get detected by the frogs. You know, almost died, ran out of stun nades, but hey, we're alive. You know, I mean, yeah, I lost a lot of time, but... You know, sometimes that happens. Like, the smoke itself has to be, like, right underneath her. But if it's too far underneath, then, like, the trick itself won't work. Because, like, it needs to be where she's coughing. Because that's when her hitbox is wide open. You know, because if she only coughs once and then it doesn't really open up, then she'll escape like what she just did. Alright, so we're just setting up our items for the next part, which is going through part of Rex's hangar, or rather what's left of Rex's hangar. While in the meantime, Otacon's reminding us, hey Snake, you gotta insert disc 2, because we're entering what is the blast furnace. For those that played the original MGS1, but this is normally where you run into disc 2. Or rather just the prompt to insert disc 2, but hey, since we're on Blu-ray, we don't have to do that. Alright, so first we're gonna throw this chaff. Roll down here. Stuns all the dwarf geckos in the room, which, again, trying to bypass this without a chaff is rather difficult. So, we'd rather make life easy. Throw a chaff. It's long enough to call up this elevator in 4 button presses, and then just go right back down. Oh, whoops. Accidentally hit start there. Alright, so while the elevator's going down to the 5th floor, just gonna practice our judo, our punches. Alright, so we arrived at the 5th basement floor, which is a new area of Shadow Moses that we haven't seen before. So we got 2 geckos here, and so we're just gonna sneak right by both of them, and then getting underneath this dwarf gecko acting as a camera. And so we're gonna throw this magazine to misdirect this gecko to look the other way, so that he's not looking at the stairs so we can exit. You know, very painless to do. Because, I mean, if you get spotted in here, there's very little chance you're gonna get out. You know, unless if you have plenty of rations to tank. Alright, so now we're in the other half of the casting facility, so we're gonna throw another magazine right there, causing that gecko to turn around. Just walk right on by. And then right as I get to this box right here, I'm gonna throw another chaff, which is gonna be enough to disable all the geckos, dwarf geckos, and make that one from the ceiling fall. Just roll right past its leg. And just like that, you're out. Again, it's very helpful to have chaff grenades for this. Like, it's almost essential if you want to speedrun this. Alright, so coming up to another familiar area of Shadow Moses, which is the entrance to Rex's hangar.
It's just up ahead.
Which conveniently is guarded by as many dwarf geckos as you could possibly imagine, but one chaff grenade gives you a clear path.
Is on the floor above you. Use the lift.
Alright, so I'm just gonna swap out some of my items here so that we get ready to fight Vamp. The knife slashing throwing cessation loaded with nanomachines for high health regeneration. The guy that never seems to die. Whatever you want to call him. But there is one weakness that he has on New Game Plus, and that's the power of the sun, baby. So, fully charge this gun, wait for him to jump down, and boom! Just like that, he's down. Alright, so as he tries to get up to recover, grab him from behind, and then just poke him with a syringe, and he's done. A fight that would probably last minutes takes like 20 seconds. Alright, now comes the next, like, quote-unquote auto-scroller, which is the, you know, blast all the dwarf geckos while Raiden fights Vamp for the rematch of the century. You know, for those that remember, you know, the fights of MGS4. So our weapon of choice here is our favorite railgun. You know, geckos can go down either as a level 2 shot, or a fully charged level 3, which does the most possible damage. You know, always resulting in a quick kill. So I just kind of position myself underneath Rex's legs here. Gives me a clear line of sight to line up my shots without getting killed. And the idea is, like, not only do you want to eliminate these geckos, but you want to eliminate these geckos that have these bomb devices mounted to them. Because if you let them detonate, it's game over. You know, but nothing like a railgun shot can't fix. Alright, so these follow like a predictable pattern. You know, they spawn in certain places. That's easy to follow. So right there you got a gecko there. And now you get a gecko that's in this corner, which is going to jump right here. So there's no really need to move. Alright, so just like that, that's gone. Then you're going to get 2 more here. Now, if you're lucky, you could try to get a 2-for-1 shot, but it's really hard to get. Alright, so unfortunately I shot a little bit early, so I only got 1 of them. So I'm just gonna go for a 2-shot there. But like, if you angle it just right, you can get a double in 1 shot. But the angle is very, very limited. Alright, so we should get another one right there.
Good, Snake. Nice, Snake.
Alright, so the next two should spawn right here in this hallway. Very nice.
In front.
Alright, thank you, Otacon.
Watch out, Snake. Just like that, Snake.
Alright, and that's the last of all the geckos we have to deal with. I'm gonna try to help out Raiden.
I can't do it. No, I can't. I can't shoot. I can't do it. I'll hit Raiden. I'll hit Raiden. No way. No way. Gotta watch my fire. No way. Gotta watch my fire. I'll hit Raiden. Gotta watch my fire.
Just between you and me, I think Snake could have taken that shot. You know, but Raiden gets the finishing blow. You know, and Vamp is actually dead for real this time. You know, since the syringe that we injected him with suppressed his nanomachines, so it doesn't allow him to just instantly regenerate and just come back for the, you know, millionth time. So now we're coming to the escape section where we're now piloting Metal Gear Rex for the very first time. I mean, well, what's left of them anyway, but... So first thing we're going to do is equip our missiles, which is part of a quick kill setup when we fight Ray later against Liquid. So, nothing really to do here but just move forward and spam X. Since dashing is faster than just moving normally. You know, as, you know, the enemy throws every gecko they have at you. You know, but they're no match for the real thing. You know, I mean, or as I say, don't send a dwarf gecko to do a Metal Gear's job. Or I'm sorry, a regular gecko, but same thing. You know, these geckos don't stand a chance against Rex. The real deal. Alright, so we got one more climb. And then the last stretch of tunnel. I usually get out when the timer in the top middle section of the screen reads 3:15. You know, assuming like I didn't really do anything to like, you know, lose movement. Alright, so 3:16, so I got a little bit of head. So, I'm gonna do this quick kill first and then explain it since it's very difficult to do. Alright, so here we go.
Let's finish this, Snake.
1, 2, stop.
But you've got me on your side. You
1,
can't lose.
2.
Crush Ray.
Alright, so that's one hit. See if I can get him to do another one. Beautiful.
Good job, Snake.
Perfect.
Keep it coming.
Alright, so what I did there is, at the very beginning of the fight, I fired at least 8 missiles at Ray to kind of disable him, you know, just to kind of knock him down. Which then, following that, I equipped to the laser, charge it up, and then move 2 steps forward, which, if done properly, will manipulate Ray to jump right. And if it's successful, when he jumps right, you take another step forward and look towards the right where there's a bunch of silos. And if RNG is on your side and your position is good, it will cause Ray to jump forward. And every time when Ray jumps and you target it with the laser as it lands and it kind of like settles, the hitbox for the laser damage is wide open. So it literally takes half of his HP per shot, which takes at least a level 2 charge to kind of do sufficient damage. And then once you hit him there, he'll jump back. And then you move towards the docks, towards the ocean, to the left, and you just stare at the crane, which is in the upper left corner of the map. And then again, if, you know, things go well, Ray will then be caused to manipulate to jump left, right in front of you, fire your second shot, and he's dead. And I can't tell you how many times it's gone the wrong way when you don't get that quick kill setup. It goes from something that takes, you know, less than a minute to now a 2 to 3 minute fight trying to kill him. You know, so very fortunate that that quick kill worked. So now comes up Act 5, which begins with another difficult intro section, which is known as Top Deck. You know, the godforsaken Top Deck, where it's loaded with guards, geckos, and everything else in between. So we're going to try to prepare with a particular setup where we're going to use smokes and our MK2 for later, keep our M4. So we're gonna swap to this, smokes, and then chaff. So we're gonna throw a smoke here as those 2 jump down. They're gonna get caught up in it. Now, I'm gonna get caught in it briefly, but that's fine. Now, as these 2s come in, I'm gonna prep this grenade, throw it against this wall, which lands behind me where they go. And then as this frog jumps down from the balcony, I'm just gonna quickly trank her. That was close. Surprised she didn't see me, but I'm glad that she didn't. So now I'm gonna take out this frog here, followed by a second one. And then before I even move, I'm gonna throw my chaff right here, which is gonna interrupt a patrol cycle of geckos that are moving around the facility. Which, if done properly, you can see that it's interrupted. It's not here. Because normally this gecko jumps to that spot and then jumps straight down, but when you throw the chaff, it stuns it. So it gets interrupted and it shows up late. And then this second gecko shows up no matter what, since it's by a trigger point. But since, again, you threw a chaff, it kind of delays it for a bit, buying you enough time to open up the door and then get through. Which, again, this is as clean as it gets for Top Deck, because, you know, I tend to take a more passive route. There's like multiple methods for going aggressive, some for passive, but the key thing is using the chaff at a particular point before spawning the gecko, otherwise the chaff doesn't really become any use to you. Because the idea of chaffing prior to that door is so that it slows the gecko down from the first one. The second one comes in no matter what, but thankfully it also worked out very well. Because the unfortunate thing with Top Deck and, you know, Outer Haven is if you get spotted, there's very little, next to no chance you're coming out alive. You know, since it takes a lot to kind of cancel out the alert. Alright, so now we're coming up with our final frog segment. I know, right? Frogs, frogs, and more frogs. Alright, so I'm gonna swap from my colored grenade to regular smoke for safety purposes. For a frog skip I'm gonna try to do. So we're gonna eliminate all the frogs except for one. And I just took a stun to the face, so that's cool. I'll just pop a syringe so I don't get shaky aim. Alright, so that's 4. There should be 2 more. Alright, so you want to be very delicate on how you set this up. So I'm going to try to put her in a better spot. So I'm going to throw smoke right there. Alright, so she moved. Alright, so I'm going to try to do that again. Alright, there we go. So you want to smoke. Just throw a smoke at her. and then Tranker. And then what this will do is it will allow her to, like, get unconscious without, you know, being, you know... So, like, as you can see, her stamina's at 0, but she's still coughing. So I'm going to throw an extra one just for safety, just to make sure that this glitch works, because the longer you keep her up like this while she's smoking, but technically knocked out, but not really knocked out, it should skip the rest of the frog encounter, and there you go. So what that does is that I believe it bugs it out, where it's like it doesn't know how to handle a frog that stayed up in that way for so long, that it just skips the encounter. Alright, now comes up Screaming Mantis, our final BMB boss. So we're gonna swap to our Mantis doll, which we acquired from a previous playthrough completion. And we're gonna use our M4 with the shotgun attachment, which I equipped earlier in the run. Since the buckshot has a better hitbox than, you know, your M4 bullets. Alright, so that was unfortunate. Ow. Alright, so I need to reload. Alright, there we go. I'm gonna put my rations on backup just in case something happens. There we go. You kind of want to let her settle a little bit, you know, because, like, she can maneuver around you when you try to aim at her. But so far, so good. And also, one other thing that I did that I forgot to explain is that I popped a syringe at the start, and that's to free Snake from the nanomachines for temporarily, so that Screaming Mantis can't manipulate your aim. You know, because, like, if you're under the effect of her dolls and you try to aim at her, it'll just move your cursor away. Alright, so we got 3 more hits left. So this is like phase 2, where she tries to possess Meryl a second time and try to make her shoot herself. You know, and, you know, reminiscent of, you know, when you fought Psycho Mantis. So once again, just shoot the doll. The Mantis doll, since it controls all living beings, and then the Sorrow doll controls anyone that's dead. One more. Alright, so we got one more hit. Alright, there we go. Doll's away. Now, even though I have the doll myself, you need to pick it up in order to use it against her. Alright, so she's not cooperating, so there we go. So what you do here is you take the controller and you wave it side to side. Because for whatever reason, even though the on-screen is telling you to do this, you get more damage when you wave it side to side. Optimally, you want to get like a 2-hit motion. But again, depending on like how the game interprets the motion sense, you might get a 3, which is average. And so for the last time, we're just gonna bait her into crawling with the solar gun equipped. And then just hit her twice. And that's it. Alright, so we just skip all these cutscenes. We got one really long hallway to run through. Last set of shafts that we're gonna use, since after this hallway, we're not gonna run into anything else anymore. Alright, so we're on the home stretch here.
Enough is enough, Snake. You can't take any more of this.
It's not about winning.
So, as you guessed it, more running.
Tongues of dying men enforce attention like deep pond where words are spent, they are seldom.
Why don't we get somebody else?
I've got nothing to lose. You were the lightning in that ray. Could still shine through the darkness.
Go! Hurry!
Sorry.
We'll meet again on the other side.
Time to do your duty. Failure will spell doom for the human race.
Go!
Now, between you and me, like, I don't know why that's not treated like as a regular cutscene. I mean, I guess on the one hand, you can prepare your items ahead of time for what's now this section. So what we do is we throw a chaff immediately. which disables, you guessed it, more dwarf geckos. So we throw one at the beginning to just buy ourselves that opening there, and then we just throw a second one just to secure our way to the exit, and then a third one just for whatever reason, since we don't really need them anymore. You know, so like when you get to this point, you want to have at least two. You can get away with one, but you have to time it a little bit differently. But if you do come into this dwarf gecko hallway with 2 chaff grenades, you're pretty much set. You know, it's more than ideal to get through. With 3, it's just overkill. Don't really need the third. Alright, now comes the best part of the run. Not a boss fight. Not another gauntlet rush for like the 5th time. Whatever time. It's crawling through the world's hottest microwave hallway. You know, with our special guest, Solid Snake, which is, he's gonna get cooked pretty good here. You know, but don't worry, we got our MK3 buddy, Otacon, to give us moral support as we, get cooked alive here. You know, which is just basically a long, interactive cutscene. Which, fun fact, you actually can die in this hallway. Only if you just don't move, as your health and stamina do drain the more you stay in it. But as long as you move through and don't really stop anywhere at all, there's no really way you're gonna die in here. You know, so as we move through, Snake gets zapped a few times where now he's pushed to the point to crawling. Just mash triangle until you reach the exit, basically. So we should get zapped right around this area coming up. I think it's like right here. Also, rip Solid Eye, by the way. Solid Eye took too much damage, couldn't last anymore. That Solid Eye will be missed. It was so useful. F's in the chat for the Solid Eye. It served us well. Almost there. Door is just so close. Running on fumes. There it is.
You've got to keep moving. Please. Get up, Snake.
Now, technically, you don't really need to continue mashing. As long as you, like, reach this spot, like, you don't really die out. But makes it more dramatic if you just keep crawling after you're really running on next to nothing on HP and stamina. So now, we're past that. And coming up is going to be the final boss fight of the run, which is going to be against, you guessed it, our brother, Liquid. Or supposedly Liquid. Which, there's a whole explanation about that, but I'm going to try to attempt to do what's going to be an infinite punch manipulation. So I will have to concentrate throughout parts of it. But basically what you do is you break Liquid's guard and then just double tap your punch quickly, but not go into your full 5-hit combo. So like to start off with, I'll just knock him down. And then when he gets back up, I'll just break his guard, and then ever so carefully, just try to loop him. And as long as you maintain this pace, I mean, even if he ducks or tries to get out of the way, you can still try to recover it. And if need be, you could do like a full 5-hit combo to push him forward. Alright, so there we go. Wasn't too bad. Got hit a little bit, but you don't want to get knocked over because that loses you time. Alright, so now comes phase 2, where he's going to become a little more mobile. Has a sucker punch, or a power punch, as you know you would call it, which you don't want to get hit by. Alright, so that was the sucker punch, and that'll do a lot of damage to you if you let him hit it. Okay, so easy there. Yeah, like I said, Liquid, he becomes a little more agile. He gets out of your way a lot. You know, but just try to get damage where you can. You know, block any punches he might try to do. Aside from the almighty sucker punch. Oh boy. Alright, there we go. That was close. I thought he was gonna break my guard into like a sucker punch, so that was a good phase 2. Now comes phase 3. With some very familiar music. And graphic layout. Alright, so I lost the loop, so I'm gonna try to reset him. So now you can see that the names and like the fighting style has changed to match MGS4. The best part of the fight, personally. Okay, I messed that up. Or maybe not. Alright, so that was good. You know, so it's easier to loop him in phase 3 since he doesn't really move around a whole lot. And phase 1 is just as, it's like just as sufficient. And phase 2 is the one where Liquid just really likes to move around on you and just ruin your day. Alright, but now we just go on to the quote-unquote watching old men beat each other up until I get the last set of hits. Which is right here. So now we just got the final 3 hits to do, which will then end the like last in-game action, which is gonna be on the final punch. Alright, so we got a second one here of 3. Alright, so here it comes, and boom! So, final split on the punch is 20301, which is going to be followed up with, I think it's like 9.5 to 10 minutes of credits and cutscenes to skip. You know, so for like the marathon purpose, the run could end here. As, you know, like I said, the remaining part of this run is just skipping through dialogue, cutscenes, and sitting through the credits, which is rather long, personally. So I think to kind of figure what the final time is going to be, given the continue that I had, I think it's going to be around a 2:16, 2:17 range, which I'm very confident is underneath the estimate of 2.5 hours. And like I said at the very beginning of the video, 2.5 hours is to account for either quick kills not happening in places, taking a possible death or two. But overall, with the exception of taking the death in Act 2 and not getting the quick kill on Crying Wolf, overall, it's not a bad run. Oh yeah, then there's a Raging Raven thing that I missed. So yeah, there's quite a few quick kills that I didn't get full advantage of, but I did get the hardest one, which is the Rex one, personally. Yo, thanks, Fatadman. I really hope you guys watching now, as well as anyone watching this video for submission, I hope they enjoyed it as well. I did gain some time back, but again, because I'm on an SSD, it kind of tracks the time a little bit weird, especially since there was a continue. But I have a feeling this is probably going to end up in like the 2:16:17 range, given, you know, the in-game credits, which for the purpose of this video, I'll play it out. But if this run does get accepted and we get to this point, you know, I think it would be agreed upon just to end it on the final punch, since really that's like the last in-game action you have to do. Because I don't think waiting for this part is going to be necessary, if really even allowed. Because, I mean, it's really just skipping through 9 to 10 minutes of, you know, credit crawl. So I don't need that anymore. Well, I don't really know everything about the run, I just know what I know. And I try to give credit where it's due. Which, I might as well do that now since we got nothing else going on. So, I want to give shoutouts to Sparty and Sergeant Silent, as well as Jaguar King and anybody else that's run MGS4 for speedrunning, whether if it's the New Game Plus categories respectively. You know, no matter the difficulty, so shoutouts to everyone that runs this game. Secondly, I want to shout out MGS4, which again stands for Metal Gear Speedrunners. You know, we're a tight-knit community that runs Metal Gear games. We speedrun them, we talk about it, share, you know, things, you know, any like new discoveries or just how to improve runs, you know, and just, you know, we have fun. So if you want to check us out, we have a Discord server, which is, you know, hashtag MGSR. There's also a Twitter account, which is, I believe it's just, I think it's just MGS Speedrunners, at MGS Speedrunners. And there's also our wiki and website, which is MetalGearSpeedrunners.com, if anybody is interested in checking out any of that stuff. And, you know, would you know it? Surprise, surprise, the real Big Boss showed up after all this time. But, unfortunately, all things must come to an end.
This is good.
Who decides what time is official and how to time it? I think it goes between like what the community does as well as the organizers. Because like I said, I would agree to have the final time on the final punch of Liquid. Because, you know, unless if this was like a big boss run, which sadly this wasn't, I would try to ask to see if we could see the scorecard, but, you know, time is precious, and a lot of times when, let's say MGS2, for example, like the last hit of Solidus would be like the final point where the timer would stop, even though there's like, you know, several minutes of credits to follow up. Because most times, depending on what game it is, they don't wait this out to see what the final time and scorecard is. And I think that's just a thing that gets agreed upon with between the runner and the organizers, as well as like what rules are already like established by the community for like when time starts and when time ends. So yeah, most likely it's, you know, the organizers, like the people running the event, would let you know when the final time is, you know, or you could just try to let them know, saying like, yeah, final time is on the last punch, you know, because I mean, sitting through 10-12 minutes of credits and cutscenes, I don't know, that's gonna be a hard ask. I mean, only if it was like a big boss run would I actually ask to see if we can wait to see the scorecard, but chances are it won't happen. And not a big deal. You know, but like I said, for the purpose of this submission, we'll wait this out as, you know, long and drawn out as it is, so we could just get the final time. But regardless if it was at the final punch of Liquid or at the very end at the final scorecard, I'm very confident this is within my 2.5 hour estimate. Because like I said, it's very generous just given what mistakes can happen. If I had to take continues, you know, alternate strats, backup strats. You know, like I said, you know, Raven and Crying Wolf, they didn't end easy. I didn't get the quick kills right. So I had to take a little more time to deal with them and try to do backup strats, as well as the positive, which was I did get the quick kill on Rex, which, like I said, in my opinion, I think that's one of the harder ones to get, because the manipulation is very sensitive. Oh wait, did I forget to split that? I did. All right, that's fine. I meant to split that when it starts the credits, but I forgot because I was talking. Apple Chip, I'm not sure if this is actually a PB in time because the way the SSD tracks the time is a little bit peculiar. Which is why I want to see what it's going to be. I know you said it's all fun, but does anyone in the MGS community get competitive? I mean, yeah, we do hold events where we do races. You know, whether if it's a 2-person race, 3-, 4-person race. Depends on what the event is. Like, sometimes if it's charity related, like, it does get competitive. But if it's for charity, it's kind of like, you know, like a friendly race between 2 fellow runners. But, I mean, you still want to try to win. But I guess outside the events, I mean, I've raced D-Limes 13 and MGS2 a few times. He's won each one. He's just really good. I've raced Sergeant Silent in this game, which I did win, but we had some conditions on the run, which I'm glad to race him again. When we go for like the true any percent. What else? I've raced Apache Smash in MGS3. You know, safe to say that he's won that one. I don't know. He's also really good at the game. And funny enough, like, he actually got world record at when he was at ESA. Like, he was on world record pace, and he actually got it when he was there. And, you know, so hats off to Apache, as well as, you know, everybody else in the MGSR community that just runs these games, makes them what they are. It's a really good community. And like I said, every quarter, I think what they're trying to do is, like, quarterly, like, they do, like, these community events where runners get together and try to do races, arrange, you know, certain games and who's going to run them. Like, you know, we form teams, you know, try to make it fun with, like, the team names and all of that. But yeah, there is competitiveness to it, you know. But when we're not doing the events, I mean, yeah, it is for fun, you know. And you know, gotta have the balance of competitiveness and fun, because the one thing you rather don't want to turn into when it's just all about being competitive is then it kind of creates some animosity, right? Where it's like all about winning. And, you know, you don't really want a community to be all about that all the time. You know, you got to have a balance, you know. And on top of that, like, in addition to that balance is you want to make it where it's welcoming, where you want to invite new people to come in, not just have the same group of 10, 20, 30 runners or whatever it is that does it all the time. Like, you want to invite new people to come in. Like, for me, for example, I recently got involved with the MGSR community last January through a very helpful referral through Mac McD, who's another speedrunner. And he runs... Well, he did run MGS2 PC for a while, but I think he's gone into other things now. Plus, he had, like, a brief hiatus where he had to, like, stop running and streaming for a bit because he had to move. But recently he's been doing Silent Hill 3? Or is it 2? No, it's Silent Hill 3. He's been doing a lot of that recently. But thanks to him, I got to, you know, get involved, join the Discord community, got to know people, and they got to know who I was, discover the stream, discover my runs. Yeah, because, like I said, if it's all about winning, then you just breed animosity and toxicity, and, you know, you don't want to grow or sustain a community like that. You know, because then it makes it give, like, a bad impression of, like, what it's about. Like, it kind of discourages new people from joining because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to join a group of, you know, like, people that are just going to, like, scoff at, like, people that are just, like, not as good as they are. Which, that's not what it's about at all. Yo, D-Lions, what's up, dude? Well, I just wrapped up my almost Big Boss run, which fortunately died at Act 2, but I might have PB'd in time, but I'm not sure, though. I don't think I did. You like winning, but you would rather grow the community? Exactly. Strength in numbers, my friend. So what are you up to today, dude? Cause I was gonna hop into some MGS2 HD collection after this, just for practicing, running, you know, for fun, since this is gonna be the end of my submission. As soon as this scorecard shows up. More submission videos, you wrapped up 3 more. Awesome. Yo, thanks, Cart. So if you guys haven't heard of DLimes13, another esteemed member of the MGS4 community, runs a lot of MGS2. He's very good at it. He holds a lot of records, including the European Extreme New Game Plus, as well as you know, other difficulties and categories. He's done some MGS1. He's done a little bit of 3 and Twin Snakes, but very good at MGS2. 2 of which are VR related. Hey, there you go, dude. Yeah, because like I was curious if you're gonna go through with that or not. I'm glad you did. You know, it gives it like an interesting take on the game. Hey, what's up, Superfly? Ninja Raiden and Tuxedo Snake. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I was gonna do some tune next so I can kind of semi-de-rust and just kind of get the feeling of the game again, since, like I said, the control scheme for PC and PS3 are not really the same. I mean, like, the button functions are the same, but the analog feel and sensitivity isn't. You know, as well as the fact that there's stinger lag and all that. Who has the best time? Well, he's in the chat and he goes by the name of DLimes. At least for the category that I'm going to try to run for submission tomorrow. European Extreme Big Boss New Game Plus. And he's got a nut button. And he holds most of the world records like he just mentioned. Nut. But yeah, good for you, man. You know, I'm really happy that you went through with the VR submissions. Did you have some kind of VR training? Sneaking, it's like weapon levels 10. Sneaky mission 60. Advanced. Yeah, there's no way they're gonna allow all this to play out at the event. Like I said, if this gets in, this just takes way too long. Like, I don't know if it's the longest credits, but I feel like it is. Like, it's either this or 3, but I'm pretty sure this one beats it out by a couple minutes.
Snake, wait up. You forgot these.
But yeah, this run would have been Big Boss if I didn't get killed off the APC in Act 2, and then somehow I got a kill somewhere, which, you know, chances are that probably happened as I was trying to, like, kill the geckos.
Where will you go?
Credits were almost never allowed, that's why you stopped the timer at RTA stopping point for submissions. Well, in that aspect, my liquid split, which is the 20301, like, that would be my time, since that's like the final punch. So like, in essence, like, that could be the time that would be displayed, since again, these credits take way too long. And like you say, it's rarely ever like accepted where they would show it all.
Inside you can pass on to the next generation. No genes, no.
Cause like I thought about ending the video there, where it was like the last hit, but I'm also curious to see like what the time is, just for my own benefit, if I actually PB'd or not, which I don't think I did. But either way, my estimate was 2.5 hours, given if a lot of things went wrong. You know, bike escape deaths, boss deaths, or just
Exactly.
you know,
That's why you need me.
lower it
As
to
a
lower it
witness.
than 230 if you got a 203, just
Witness.
closer to 210.
Yeah. Someone on the outside to bear
Yeah, maybe
witness to your
210,
final
215.
days. Someone to pass on your story.
But like I said, you know, round number that I threw
Not that
out was
you're
just 2.5
old.
hours. Whether or not if the credits were included or not.
But I'll remember everything you were
But
and stick
I would
with
say,
you
given
to
how
the
this
end.
run went, given the one death I did get,
Oh, God.
making maybe 210, 215 would be
You
more
wouldn't let me
reasonable.
suffer Sonny's eggs alone, would you?
Okay. I'm gonna take a guess and say it's like a 217, 18. There's no way this was like a sub 212. Yo, what's up, Segoe?
Come quick! They're ready!
The speedrunner's
They
ready.
look yummy! Sort of like the sun.
Hey, thanks, Platonic. I appreciate it,
Rising
dude.
again.
Ooh, a 214. Yeah, so one continue, one kill. Yo, Melon, thank you for gifting out that sub to Segoe. So that concludes the run. Like I said, the in-game timer split, that would be the final split at the event. If it does get accepted, would be the 20301 final punch, which easily was within the 2.5 hours estimate that I initially gave it. So if revised, which I probably will do during the actual submission, I'll make it either a 210 or 215. Get it a little bit closer to what seems reasonable. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the run, as well as anyone reviewing. I appreciate your time and consideration for this Metal Gear Solid 4 TBE New Game Plus run. Thank you, and have a good day.